Good morning. I am at Geumseonggwan Hall in Naju, and it's a free tourist place that anyone could just kind of come up and check out. I would say I've been here for about 30 minutes now, and that's like stretching it. Like 15 minutes is really all you need here. I've been really exploring everywhere on these grounds. And the important thing about this is that it was kind of a guest house for the king. The previous kings have stayed here, and that is why it was quote unquote significant at the time. But if you've seen some of my other videos that I spoke about the Gwangju uprising, when martial law hit Gwangju, it actually prevented people from entering or exiting the place, and because of that they needed a staging ground, and they actually used this hall as the staging ground for helping out people in Gwangju. The citizens army, I believe is what they're calling themselves, staged here. This is where food was prepped, guns were kept, and people prepared to march to Gwangju from here. It's actually not that far. I think it's about 20 kilometers distance. I would also just like to mention that is like dead right now. There are some older folks sitting, I don't know if it's coming out in the camera or not, but there are some older like grandparents sitting on the hall areas, and I think there are a lot of guys on the opposite sides of the walls here prepping for a celebration that they do. They use this hall as a ritualistic celebration. It didn't actually say what type of ritual, but every 1st and 15th of the month, and the 15th is fastly approaching us, so they actually have a bunch of tents and everything set up, and you could tell that there's going to be a celebration here. Unfortunately, I'm only here for this hour, really. I'm going to go get an early lunch in a moment here that's about a walk's away from where I'm standing right now. But this place is pretty neat, and I would say it's really well maintained, except for the fact that it's been tore down and rebuilt multiple times for different reasons too. I think the most interesting reasons were every time this area got invaded by the Japanese would remodel it somehow, and then after the Japanese were repelled, the citizens of Naju would then come back and kind of destroy the remodeling that the Japanese did and kind of rebuild it to the way that it was originally. That being said, it's actually been rebuilt quite a few times. There's so much history at this one little area here, which is really interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they also held like the stages behind me as like a concert venue or something like that. There's actually a lot of electricity flowing through around here. There's all these lines and cables everywhere that you kind of have to be cautious of. And I would say that, like, I don't know if it's coming through, but there's actually scaffolding like right there with lights on it, and it's definitely to light up something on the stage behind them. And that just might be where they do the ritual stuff, and they might not hold, like, you're not going to see a K-pop concert here or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe if they did like local bands or something like that, like little charity groups. It's really well built for that. I mean, I walked through the front gate, and there are signs of when this place is open and when it's not, and walked through the front gate expecting kind of like a little bit more, I guess you could say. I thought there'd be more buildings, and I also don't know if this is coming up through, but being that I'm only 20 kilometers from Gwangju and I drove towards the Air Force Base, there are plenty of jets flying overhead. Like, I keep losing track of thought. Like, this guy is coming in for a landing. It's just so loud. I can clearly see him from where I'm standing. I don't think the camera would pick him up, but wow. Anyhow, sorry. So you come in through the main gate, and then there's a secondary gate, which is kind of interesting. And right next to that secondary gate is a couple of monuments or memorials that were actually moved here from other cities to kind of just place here and have their final resting place here, I guess you could say. And that was kind of the only thing that kind of stuck out and didn't really seem to match the area here. But they're in memorandum of actual like kings passing through certain areas, and so like one was for a bridge apparently, but I have no idea where the bridge is because there's actually no bridge near these compounds, at least that I'm familiar with. And then you have the three kind of halls behind me. There's the main center hall, and that one's kind of like really enclosed, kind of looks like where you would actually sleep if you were staying here. And then the two outer halls to each side of it, those actually look more like something that would open up and you could actually hold a performance there or something like that if you wanted to. And so that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's just there's a lot of ground here. I feel that it's like they'll put up like food tents and stuff like that. I was gonna say circus tents, but just little stalls for people to probably do things at. There's actually a large, really clean public restroom in the parking lot area, and then there's actually another gate outside of this enclosed area that actually has a big drum on top of it, and there's a row of tents behind it. I think that's the main street that's supposed to lead up to the temple. It's just kind of interesting how it does L shape rather than like typically most of the time when I'm walking up a street that has like tents lined on it or like vendors lined up on it, typically it leads straight to the main gate of the temple that you're going to, and that's kind of why I referred to this place as a temple just now, even though it's not a temple. To finish off this video, it's just kind of neat. I didn't know this place had anything to do with the Gwangju uprising that I spoke of in the other videos, and just to find out that everyone's just so closely knit here, that the history is just intertwined so closely as well. That was really cool. Anyhow, I am getting a little peckish now, and hopefully this place is open. I'm here a little bit early because my schedule today is a little bit off, so we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, and I will see you in the next video.